Welcome to the first in what should be a series of short tips videos for this, the OM-1. First up, making the most of your money and your storage space when it comes to SD cards. Both of the SD card slots on the OM-1 are UHS 2 compatible and will take up to the fastest SD cards currently on the market. Personally, in my OM-1, I use two different speeds of SD cards. I use a fast card for high burst rate modes and a slow card for lower burst rate modes and for video. My slow card is this, the Lexar 1667 128 gig 250 megasecond card. And my fast card is this, the Lexar 2000X, a 64 gig 300 megasecond card. The difference being that you can buy two of the 128 gig 250 megasecond cards for the price of one of these. So these cards are very cost effective, and I make good use of these in both my filming camera and in my OM-1 in order to get the most amount of storage space for the least amount of money. Turning to the OM-1, I place the fast card into slot 1 and the slower card into slot 2. The next step will depend on your own preference for how you use your camera, but I tend to shoot in manual mode and I use buttons to quickly swap in and out of custom modes for different purposes. I have manual mode set to silent sequential at 20 FPS, and this is my walkabout mode. I find this to be the best for my use case. But that doesn't need the fastest card. It does not need the 300 megasecond card in order to efficiently clear the buffer. I'm going to change my custom mode, which is set to C1, that I use particularly when birds are taking off or doing something interesting, or I'm expecting them to do something interesting. This has Pro Capture turned on, and I keep this on a custom mode because I don't always want Pro Capture turned on, and turning it on is a bit of a faff. So I use this mode and it's set to 50 FPS, and this allows me to take a burst of photos reacting to an event as it happens, like a bird taking off. This custom mode is the reason I have the fast card in the camera, because when you're shooting at FPS and when you're using Pro Capture and taking a big batch of pre-buffered photographs as well, you are almost instantaneously putting 60 photographs into the buffer, and clearing the buffer as fast as possible allows you to keep shooting for longer if action is continuing in the scene. Okay, so now we're going to change the settings on the camera. This is going to look a little bit weird, as for some reason the OM-1 turns off the rear monitor on the camera when you plug in a HDMI cable. So I'm going to be looking over here at OBS, which is doing the recording for me. So to start with, I'm in manual mode in the M setting on the wheel, and I'm going to change the settings for both photo and video, which will cover all of the default programmable modes. So we start by hitting menu, and then we want to go to the settings spanner and to card folder file, and we'll start by changing the card slot to number 2. And then the other setting in this panel is whether the card should fail over when one becomes full. I leave that on. Just keep in mind that you have to change the card back over in the other menu option if you have had it fail over. While we're in this mode, we also want to change the video setting, and the video setting here will apply in any of these modes when you use the switch to swap into video mode. So as you can now see at the top in the left, it says 2.1 for photos and 2 for video. It's not especially obvious what that means, but it means that it will write to the second card first for photos and then the first card, and for video it will just record to the second card. Next we want to change to C1. So C1 in my setup at the moment is set up identically to M, so we go back to the card slot settings. For video, I want it to continue going to the slow card in slot 2. But for photos, because I want that fast buffer clearance, I'm going to change that to be card 1. I'll keep the same settings here again. And as you can see, I'm now in C1 in photo mode, and the photo order reads 1, 2, so it's going to write to the first card first, then the second. And for the video, it just says 2. If I swap into video mode in C1, you'll see that it does use these settings, which is a little bit weird. It doesn't use the ones on the manual settings, so you do have to keep that in mind. But I typically don't go into video from the C1 mode anyway. And that's it. I hope that was useful. I would be interested in knowing if other people have different ways of using this feature, or indeed totally different approaches. Please put those in the comments. But for now, thanks for watching. Until next time.